and 13 people are there, I can see. So we'll directly move. So as far you can see the screen, are you able to see the screen, everyone? Ratika?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the phenomena of crawling, what it suggests is that when the induction motor runs at 1/7 of its synchronous speed, that phenomena is called as crawling. So why is this crawling? What is the reason for the induction motor to crawl? Can anyone tell me why it crawls? Why it runs at 1/7 of the speed? See, basically, this phenomena happens due to a thing called as harmonics. So we have harmonics. Harmonics is the type of current that are generated due to frequencies, unwanted frequencies, odd frequencies. So the type of harmonics which we have in the system are uh, f- basically the forward and the backward harmonics. So it is the harmonics. If we say harmonics, see, it would be 6 ns plus minus 1. So ns is basically the speed that you are encountering. So in this, for example, if you are talking about a normal household, so your frequency is around 50 hertz. Okay, so that frequency, then the deviation from this normal frequency, for example, for fifth harmonics, frequency would be how much? Tell me. Frequency would be 250. Okay, 250 hertz. So this is undesirable. This type of frequency is undesirable. We don't require this. We require a standard frequency. So what happens in the induction motor when this harmonics comes? So there are two harmonics, 6 ns, for example, the value of frequency, standard unit. Let's suppose the speed is 1. So 6 into 1 plus minus 1 is equal to, it can be either 5 or it can be 7. So the fifth term, that is minus, this term is called as backward harmonics. Backward harmonics. And here you are seeing the seventh term over here. This is called the forward harmonics. Forward harmonics. So the phenomena of crawling, if you see, the phenomena of crawling is due to the forward. The phenomena of crawling is due to what? Forward harmonics. So that means, but why this happens? What is the reason? Why is the harmonics happening? See, what happens is that, see, basically what happens, the proper selection of, you have some two things you have in an induction motor. Number one thing is your rotor, and number second thing is your stator. So induction motor is also called as a singly fed machine because you are supplying power to the stator, whereas rotor, no power is getting supplied. It rotates through the relative motion between the stator and the rotor magnetic field. So the proper selection of number of rotor slots in relation with number of stator slots in the squirrel cage induction motor, or for that example even round motor, or what you call slip ring induction motor, is extremely important. Otherwise what happens is that, see, if the number of the rotor slots is selected equal to the number of stator slots, so at that time what happens is that, see, that at that time, if both the rotor and the number of slots are equal to each other, or they are in integral multiple of each other, in that case your induction motor will not start. This phenomena of induction motor not starting is called as cogging. In any competitive exam, this is a very important question, or in any interview related to electrical engineering, if you go, they will ask, so with some other combination of stator to rotor slots, the motor has a tendency to run stability at a low speed, such as 1/7 of the normal speed. So what happens is that this phenomena, see, uh, w- if your crawling is due to the accumulation of what? The harmonics. Now to avoid crawling, what you do is you chamfer the induction motor. Chamfer the induction motor means, the if you see the transformer, you have seen that. transformer, if you see the transformer core, for example, you suppose this is my, I'll choose one shape. Okay, suppose this is my transformer core. Okay, so in the transformer core, if you see I the core properly, so it has some laminations like this. Okay, some laminations are thicker, some are wider. So it's chamfered, it's cut. Okay, some are, so like this. If you see a transformer, you'll have, so rest I'll draw simply like this. You have some cuts, you have some laminations in a transformer. So this laminations is done to reduce the silicon, the eddy current loss. But in an induction motor, what we do is, we do in an induction motor, chamfering is done. Chamfering is done. Chamfering means what? Chamfering means you cut these slots. The rotor should at an angle of 45 degrees. 45 degree. So cutting the induction motor rotor slots, or rotor and stator slots, and stator slots at an angle of 45 degree is called chamfering. In more popular literature, it is known as skiving. So we call this term as skiving. So when we are cutting this at an angle of 45 degrees Celsius, sorry, 45 degree, what happens is that the induction motor seventh harmonics is getting vanished, is not getting accumulated. If the number of rotor, see, if we are not chamfering it, what happens is that the harmonics will come in the current when we are starting the induction motor. So definitely it will result into harmonics, and there are these forward harmonics that would lead to induction motor to crawl at 1/7 of its synchronous speed. So usually if you see, the induction motor never runs at synchronous speed. Induction motor never runs at synchronous speed. At synchronous speed. What is the reason? See, if you have this synchronous motor like this, okay, I'll draw this thing circle and let me explain you. So if you have a induction motor, what happens is that, suppose I'm having an induction motor, I take a circle over here, so let it be. So this is my induction motor. So what happens? Okay, this is my this is my rotor. Okay, and this is my stator teeth, like this I'm drawing. Okay, to, sorry for, it's not so easy to draw. Okay, so it should be little circular like this. I have drawn like this only, it should be. So this is my rotor and this is my stator, and these are the teeth. What you are seeing, these are the teeth, and inside the teeth there are slots. You can put the winding over here, 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 here. Winding you can put here, so you can put the winding over here. and this is my rotor, and here also there is some winding you can put. So induction motor supply you are giving to, if you are having a three phase induction motor, you will have an R Y and B supply. So you'll give a supply. If you are using star connection, then you'll put neutral. So you'll give a supply to the stator windings. So if you, for example, this is your R getting connected with R, and this is your Y, like here, and this is your B over here. So R Y B supply you're giving to the induction motor. There is a relative motion induced in the rotor and the stator. There's but your induction motor never runs at synchronous speed. Why? Because there's a relative motion will happen. Suppose if I take an egg in my hand, okay, uh, I use my hand, one hand, another hand from this side to, and I apply 50 Newton force here. Apply 50 Newton force here. What will happen? Anything will happen. Ratika, huh? Ratika, if I
Yes,
take
sir.
a if I take a egg in my hand, this is my egg. If I've taken this in my hand and if I apply 50 Newton force here, 50 Newton force here, will egg rotate or it will break? It will not break. You try
Nothing
that
will
experiment. Nothing will happen. Even if you give it to Undertaker also, he cannot do anything because it has reached an equilibrium position. Suppose you have the magnetic field stator BS, okay, it is rotating in this direction. Magnetic field of stator, okay, magnetic field of stator, okay. Similarly, if you apply uh, a rotor magnetic field that is moving in opposite direction, okay, and this is the shaft that has to rotate. If I'm applying here also 50 Newton, here also 50 Newton, will induction motor rotate? Hmm? Ratika, will it rotate?
no, sir.
Anyone cannot. No, it will not rotate. Why? One force has to be, this has to be 60 Newton and this has to be 40 Newton. If this is 60 Newton, this is 40 Newton, then it will rotate like this. If this is 60 Newton, this is 40 Newton, then it will rotate like this. So what is the reason for induction motor to rotate? Then the reason for induction motor, when we are using the induction motor, how it rotates is, it rotates, induction motor rotates due to what? Rotatory magnetic field. And okay, and this is created by relative motion between stator and rotor magnetic fields. So this relative motion between the stator and the magnetic field, so always the stator will be greater greater than the rotor magnetic field, and in this term we can call as BS minus BR, the relative motion, the distance. See, for example, this is 60 Newton, BR is 40 Newton. So this distance between the stator and the rotated magnetic field is called as slip in induction motor. Already you have studied slip. So induction motor, if you see your rotational speed that it will rotate would be slip times the synchronous speed, and the ratio of slip would be between 0 to 1. So when slip is 1, suppose slip is 1, so at what time slip is 1? So you can see clearly your slip is ns minus nr, okay. From here also you can see your slip. You can write your relative motion here, slip is equal to nr is equal to ns, so you can write nr minus sns, sorry, sns, what is happening, s sns is equal to 0. So this term nr is equal to nr minus sns is equal to 0. In other terms also you can write slip is equal to what? If you have to substitute ns minus nr, Okay, this is your slip. A percentage slip would be ns minus nr divided by ns into 100. Okay, so if your ns is equal to nr, if your ns is equal to nr, your slip would be, from this your slip would be equal to 0. Now at what time your slip would be equal to 1? When your synchronous speed is 0. So slip is 1, slip would be 1 when your ns is equal to what? See, slip is basically what? Ns minus nr. Okay, divided by ns. This is your percentage slip. Okay, percentage slip. So your slip would be equal to 1 when your nr is equal to 0. So that would be ns by ns is the mechanical motion, the rotor motion. And nr, you can, in some books they write nm also. So this is the mechanical motion, the rotatory motion. So we see clearly when the rotor is completely blocked, when it is not moving, only at that condition slip is 0. Otherwise the slip will have some value. And always we are noticing that your ns value is always greater than nr, then only your induction motor will move. Then only then only the induction motor will move. So now comes the picture of crawling and cogging. So when I'm talking about this crawling and cogging phenomena, so let's go for the cogging. What is this cogging? Now crawling we understood, let's go for cogging. So earlier in the previous slides I showed you, here when I have drawn this, here in the slide I showed you, this is my slots are there. So this is my slots, this is my slots. So what happens is that when my stator and the rotor slots are equal in number, when stator and rotor slots are equal in number or integral multiple of each other, then your induction motor will not start. Induction motor will not start. Why it will not start? What is the reason why it does not start? Tell me, what is the reason why it does not start? See, just now you saw that if your induction motor does not start, that means what, Pratika? That means your mechanical motion is not moving. Induction motor does not start means, induction motor does not start means what? Start means what? Tell me, anyone? Dikshita, what it would mean if I say induction motor is not starting? That would mean the mechanical motion or the rotor speed is 0. Induction motor is not starting. So the induction motor is not starting will happen at slip is equal to 1. So when the slip would be equal to 1, sorry, if it will not start means this thing is not starting. So this will happen only when slip is equal to 0. When ns is equal to nr, at that time you see ns is equal to nr. So nr minus nr here instead of this, so your slip becomes 0. So when your slip becomes 0, induction motor will not start. And why it becomes 0? Because your rotor magnetic field is equal to your stator magnetic field. And this will happen when the number of slots which you are having are equal in number, or are integral multiple of each other. Means what? See, equal in number we understand when we are talking about equal in number. So we know that if they are equal in number, so there would be equal rotating magnetic field produced. So what is the phenomena? What should we do to do things? So we can write that, see, certain improper combinations of rotor and stator may cause the induction motor to develop uh, unpredictable hooks and cups, and the torque and speed characteristics of motor may operate with noise and it will not start. Okay, so what we have to do is to avoid cogging. So cogging is a phenomena. It is also in popular literature, it's also called as magnetic hum. It is also called as magnetic hum. So there would be some noise in the machine, and the machine will not start. Induction motor will not start. So what is the process to avoid clogging? So to avoid, how you will avoid clogging? How to avoid clogging? Tell me. Can you tell how to avoid clogging? So in order to avoid clogging, what you will do? In order to avoid clogging, you should select the rotor and the number slots properly. Now, the number one thing you have will do is select the rotor and stator slots properly. They should not be equal or integral multiple of each other. This is what cogging. Now tell me what for crawling you will do. For crawling, to avoid crawling, you will skew the induction motor at an angle of 45 degrees Celsius. Sorry, 45 degrees. So this was about crawling and cogging. So this is what I've given to whom. Tomorrow you have to present. Remember. So Jyoti,
Sir?
Jyoti,
Yes, sir.
nobody is there. Jyoti, Jyoti, you will present on this crawling. Okay, tomorrow 5 minutes I
Yes,
want.
sir.
Now
Yes,
you
sir.
understood what is crawling.
Yes,
It
sir.
is this is simple. Okay, and what is your name? Chaitra. Chaitra, you present on this output equation of output equation of three-phase is induction motor. Okay, I'm written over here. And Chandramouli, you will present on
Yes, sir. Cogging.
Chandramouli. Yes, cogging. Okay, now you understood. It's very simple, na? You see, basically, I have explained you the outline. You go to the internet, you see if you find some interesting material also. So you will present it. So it will add something from your point of view. Also, you try to add what you understood from the internet. So you got certain things, certain concepts about already you had, but when you are talking about this slip induction machine and everything, na, you have to understand, you have to have the basics. The machine should be in your mind. So that's why my drawing is not that good, although the circle was there, but other factors are not there. If they were there, I would have used it. It would have been much better. So now in today's class we saw the output equation of induction motor in the previous class. So we'll see certain other factors. What is the best design for induction motor based upon the power factor? And you calculated in the last class, we saw the output equation of the induction motor. So the output equation of the induction motor, uh, we saw the output equation of induction motor. So how did it represent? So the output equation of the induction motor was somehow this P is equal to C naught T square LNS. Okay, you saw this. Now LNS in terms of kVA we can write. So there are certain things that I showed you, but today how do we go for the separation of, because what are we interested in, the dia and length. So these two things we are interested. If you notice in the DC machine also, we got similar output equation, but the constant C naught was different there. Here the C naught would be different because this is an induction motor. So the C naught value here we got are almost but that kW factor is not there as far as the DC machine is concerned. So where C naught is called the output coefficient of the AC machine basically. So also we saw from the power triangle diagram, if I make a power triangle over here, see we have 3-4 triangles, resistance triangle, okay, that is called impedance triangle, power triangle, similar to power triangle. See here, if I make a triangle like the Pythagoras theorem, I made a triangle here. If we have a triangle, let me see, we don't have a right angle. uh, Let me see what shapes we have. No, we don't have. Triangle is there, but it's not right angled. We don't have a right angle triangle, so no need. So I'll draw on the next slide. So we have a triangle like this. So if I'm making the triangle, here I have my kVA, this is S. I have my power, this is in kilowatts. I have my reactive power, this is in kVAR. Okay, kVA, this is my reactive power, and this is my angle theta. So I can write my this cos phi, if I want, is my kilowatt by kVA, or in other terms I can write P by S. So P is equal to S cos phi. If I want to write tan phi, tell me tan phi. Yeah, Ratika, tell me tan phi. How
KVA
it
by
will?
KW.
Tell me tan phi. Yeah, Noor.
KVA by KW, sir.
Noor.
So
Tan phi would be.
KVA by
Tell me. Sorry, tan theta.
KVA by K.
This is okay. I'll kVA by. No,
KW.
tan theta. Oh, sorry, tan phi would be perpendicular by kVAR by.
Adjacent.
It would be kVAR by kVA.
KW.
Okay, it would be Q by S. How you are writing? Sorry, P. Yeah, correct. Perpendicular by base. 10. What is where I went? Yeah, you're not replying fast. So this is creating problem to me also. kVA by kW. kVAR. Okay. Or kVAR by kW. Okay, correct. Ratika?
Yes, sir.
Ratika?
Yes, sir.
It would be kVAR by kW. Are you confident? It would be Q by P. So this would be tan phi. You can write Q. You can write in terms of P tan phi. If you go for gate examinations, they will use these formulas. They will use. So you'll get confused. Till now you have seen this. Okay. They'll use some equation. You might require this formula. So now you're in final, pre-final. Also, you can write gate examination. No problem. So I was in that point of view. Also, I wanted to explain. But suppose now you want to write your efficiency is output by input. Okay, output by input, or your input kVA. So your input kVA, that means would be output kVA by efficiency. Okay, because what, see, this is input, I transferred here, input kVA is equal to output kVA by efficiency. So this equation also we previously saw. So I can write my input kVA is equal to output kVA by efficiency. In other terms, if I want to write in terms of kW also, so in terms of kW I can write, or in terms of kVA I can write. See, kVA is what? Cos phi, where it went? kVA, this is my kW, is kVA by cos phi. So instead of input kVA, I can write kW. See, if I want to write it in terms of kW, I can write kVA into cos phi. Okay, can I write it in terms of kVA into cos phi? So I can write my input kVA is equal to, so input kVA is equal to, instead of output kVA, I can write this kVA in terms of this kVA here. Cos phi will go down. So kVA I can write in terms of kW by cos phi. kW by cos phi. I'll change the color. So here, instead of this kVA, I can write kW by cos phi. So my input kVA, I can write in terms of kW efficiency into cos phi. So I can substitute here. So this is one term. Another thing, kW, if I want to write in terms of HP, so I can write 0.746 into HP into efficiency by cos. Efficiency by cos phi. Same thing. The denominator, same thing. Okay. Efficiency by cos phi. Now, my important thing here is to explain how do we separate from the normal equation. If you see over there, the normal equation P we have is equal to C naught D square L NS, okay, kVA. Okay. Now in this normal equation we need to separate these terms. Okay. Separation of D square L. So how do we separate? So there are some important properties. So the properties what we require is that, see, from the D square L, if you see, you can write D square L in terms of out. Just now I showed you input kVA C naught NS in terms of volume if you want, because D square L is basically nothing but as volume, because D is in meter square, L is also in meter, so this is in volume. So number one factor, you can write that volume of machine. If you want the volume of machine, you can write in terms of this term, and the volume of the machine would be equal to your input kVA divided by efficiency into, sorry, input kVA into, from here you can write this term in terms of input kVA into C naught NS into C naught NS. So this term you can write in terms of that. So there are some important things. The second factor is the ratio of core length to core pitch. So the length of the core to length of the pitch. So that ratio in the DC machine also when we were studying. So I talked about the ratio of core length. So the length of the core would mean the circumference, that would be in meter, and the core pitch, and the core, sorry, core length to core pitch. So this would be the length that is involved in the core making the length, and the pitch would be the dia. So that is L by Z ratio. So this Z would be the circumference. So you can write this in terms of, see, in terms of L by Z, and this dia would be per pole. Okay, so this is like if the entire dia for all the poles is pi d, so per pole it would be pi d by p. So this is L by Z ratio. This you also saw in the DC machines. So now comes the real picture. If see, suppose you are doing a problem now, tomorrow we will do one problem. So in that we will see if L by Z ratio is not given in the problem, so it can be assumed. See, for good efficiency, what you'll do is you have to take it as 1.5. See, this L by Z ratio is very vital. So if you want to, for good efficiency, if they have given design for a good efficiency, your L by Z ratio would be 1.5. Okay, that is L by pi d by p. Okay, this would be 0.45. So that 1.5 to, this is 1.5 to 2, any range. Some can take 1.5, some can take 1.6, no problem. So this is the range, 1.5 to 2. But it is better if you take it to 1.5 for uniformity. Now for good overall design, if you want a good overall efficiency, should be good, power factor should be good, other factors should be good, length of volume, conductor material, you require less for good overall design. This over the years when they have been designing the machines, they are keeping the record, and from the statistical data they collected, and they framed it to this, they reached to this conclusion: for good overall design should be equal to L by Z ratio should be equal to 1. Now what have Ratika, are you there? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice. So for good overall design, L by Z ratio should be equal to 1. Now for best power factor, if you require a good power factor, so your Z value should be equal to square root of 0.1. For now, this is for good overall ratio, and this is for good power factor. For good power factor, your this L by Z sorry, your Z should be equal to, here I'll rub. Your Z should be equal to square root of Z should be equal to square root 0.1 0.018 L. Okay, this is for good power factor. For for minimum cost, your L by Z ratio, see again, for your minimum cost, your L by Z ratio should be between 1.5 to 2. For minimum, for minimum cost, where L by Z ratio should be between 1.5 to 2. So this is for minimum cost. And for, see, this is here over here na, you please slightly make a correction. This is for best power factor. Okay, this is not for good power factor. This is the best power factor what possibly you can get. This is the best power factor that you can get. This is for best power factor. Now for best power factor means you are compromising all other quantities. Now for reasonably good power factor, for okay means we can say for good power factor, for good power factor we take this range again to be around 1 to 1.25. 1 to 1.25. So this is about like how do you choose for power factor and how do you choose now your ratio. So if you carefully observe your output equation, in the output equation, if you carefully write the output equation, if we see the output equation, that is which we calculated the previously, so we wrote P is equal to 1.11 into pi square into BAV into AC into kW in 10 power 3, which we saw was called as C naught. This is a constant term. So now we are seeing when we are going for the design, we have the properties, we have BAV. We have to go for the consideration of choice of BAV. So the three factors that are most vital in the choice of your, what is your BAV? What is BAV? BAV is what? Specific magnetic loading or average magnetic loading. Okay, this is your specific magnetic loading. In machines, you notice that in all the rotating machines, including your DC machines, your induction motor, your synchronous motor, you have your average flux density and ampere conductors will have. These are ampere conductors. These terms you have to keep in mind. See previously also, if you see the equation, you have 1 pi square into BAV is there, ampere conductor is there. So you have to consider for this. For this, you have to take three factors into consideration. The number one factor would be power factor. Okay. Second factor would be your iron loss, that you have to go for iron loss. Okay, iron loss is what? Hysteresis plus eddy current loss. Okay, hysteresis plus eddy current loss. This is the iron loss. This happens in core. Okay, so this loss, and then the number third factor is the overall overload capacity. What overload capacity of machine? Capacity, overload capacity. Now, as far as the power factor is concerned, so when BAV increases, amount of flux increases. Okay, see, BAV is what? BAV in terms of flux. Tell me, very first class I told you, BAV is what? Flux by area. So if your flux will increase, your BAV will increase. So we can happily write that if BAV increases, flux increases, because BAV is flux by area. So that means if area is decreasing, BAV will increase. Okay, and if flux is increasing, BAV will increase. So this term over here means decrease, and the above signal means increase. Okay, so this thing you have to keep in mind. So now the important thing is, when magnetizing current increases, suppose your magnetizing current increases, what will happen? So amount of flux increases, what will it result? If the flux you are constantly increasing, you can increase till some level. Okay, beyond that level, here till certain portion it's a linear. After that it becomes, this is called the cut-in or the saturation. Okay, this is the BH curve. Okay, or MMF flux curve, saturation. Okay, after that you cannot, after that it becomes linear. This region you can see, this is linear. Now it's rising exponentially, so you have a saturation region. So when BAV increases, iron loss increases, but to increase in, see what it does is it also reduces the output, decreases, which gives decrease in efficiency. So what we will consider is that your BAV, okay, BAV in terms of the pole, in terms of the machine, which we have seen previously in the DC machine as well as the induction machine. How did we express this? If we are taking the, for the entire machine, P times phi, and the dia pi dl. So this thing we have considered. So if you are increasing your BAV, your iron loss increases. If the loss is increasing, what happens to the efficiency? Efficiency will decrease. So these things you have to keep in mind. So if your flux is increasing, your BAV will increase. Your BAV will increase, your WI, this is your iron loss, will increase. Iron loss will increase, efficiency is output by input. Okay, so input is equal to output plus losses. So efficiency is output plus losses. Now suppose losses are increasing, what will happen to the efficiency? If the losses are increasing, yeah, tell me, Dikshita, what will happen to the efficiency if the losses are
Decreases, sir.
increasing? So efficiency decreases. So these are certain things. If you are putting some effort into studying this induction motor, na, so, or any other machine subject or power system, so you have to understand from the very basics. So in the very beginning I told you certain factors, and what I told you, electrical machine design is electrical quantity. We are expressing into magnetic terms, then magnetic quantity we are expressing in mechanical terms, length and breadth in terms of dimensions. This is about design. So this was about the loss content. So what will happen to the loss with BAV? Now let's see the overload capacity, how much capacity it can handle. See, when we increase the specific magnetic loading, amount of flux increases. For, for instant value of voltage, number of turns decreases. Okay, see, if you have a constant value of voltage, you can decrease the number of turns, which causes decrease in leakage reactance. Okay, so when leakage reactance increases, what happens? When leakage reactance decreases, diameter of this induction motor increases, for which the machine delivers more output. In other words, we can say that it is called the overload capacity. So overload capacity, how you can express? So the basically, if your BAV will increase, what will happen to the dia? See, if your BAV you are increasing, you here your dia this term has to decrease. If this term has to decrease, your overload capacity increases. So that means if you have lesser diameter, lesser length, you can load it to a more value. If you notice, I will tell you one thing. If you notice a transmission tower, okay, on top of you, if you are going somewhere, look at a transmission tower, 132 kV tower, and then put a notice at 220 volt or lesser voltage that is coming to you. Which wire is thicker, 220 or 132 kV? Which line is in cross sectional area? Which line is thicker, the 132 or 220, which is coming to you? Okay, forget about that. The LV line is high tension wire is thicker or thinner, or the low tension wire is thinner or thicker? It's a basic observation. Ratika, tell me. You have
Sir,
not noticed? No, if you are going around, you just notice a tower and you tell me the tower, the above line, that is 132 kVA tower. If you are noticing that wire is thicker, or the wire that is coming to your home is thicker? The cross sectional area of the wire. You have not noticed. Dikshita, Chiranjeevi, 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 Afsa, Jyoti,
sir,
Jyoti. Yeah, tell me. You're not listening. Simply you kept it on, and nobody is listening to the class. It's not looking good. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you which wire is thicker. If you are going for a 132 kVA tower, which wire is thicker? The 132 kVA wire is thicker, or the wire that is coming to your home is thicker in cross sectional area?
Sir,
Yeah,
132
Ratika,
kV.
you noticed properly? See, if we keep 132 kVA wire thicker, okay, what will happen? Losses would be more. So because if it is more thicker, the area of cross section is more, losses would be more. So you notice carefully, you notice the wire that is coming to our home is, see, if you notice if you notice a huge tower, na, that would be slightly thinner compared to the wire that is coming to your home. Why? This has a relationship here in this formula. You notice here your average flux density. So how can you increase this? You can increase this by decreasing the dia and the length. So if you are decreasing the dia and the length, your BAV increases. Okay, your BAV is what? It's the magnetic replica of J. It is I by A. Okay, I by A. It is flux by A. Okay, so if your area is see, if your current needs to pass, more current needs to pass, then area of cross section you need to decrease. Similarly, if more magnetic flux needs to pass, area of cross section you need to decrease. Okay, you got my point, Jyoti?
Yes,
Ratika,
yes, sir.
did you understand?
Yes, sir.
What did you understand? Please explain me. What did you understand? Yeah, anybody can explain, please. What you understood, Ratika? Tell me.
Sir, if area is more, losses is more, sir.
If area is more, losses is more. If area is less,
So depending on the voltage, the area is decided, sir.
today I think none of you is giving my class properly. Okay, so tomorrow's class you please be prepared, okay, with this context, and we will be doing numerical. Then I will be conducting a quiz also, so I'll also give you some marks based upon that. So please be prepared for the class. Now see, so much effort for very difficult. I got this touchpad, I'm writing it, I'm trying my level best, but when you are not paying attention, who will explain you all these things? Induction motor, slip, every concept in this thing. Otherwise, straight away I will go crawling, cogging, this numerical, that numerical. So please pay attention in the class. Okay. So Jyoti,
Sir. Sir.
you are ready? What is your topic tomorrow?
Sir,
So for
crawling.
tomorrow I'll wind up today's class. I'm winding up here. I'll revise a bit. Basically, what we did is that we understood. I'll go back to the slides. So we went for the crawling and the cogging. As far as the crawling is, crawling means when the induction motor is running at 1/7 of its synchronous speed, and this happens due to the harmonics. And the harmonics that we encounter is due to the forward harmonics. That the harmonics we have 6ns plus minus 1. So the forward harmonics is the 7th harmonics. So what happens is that the induction motor crawls at a speed of 1/7 of its synchronous speed. And to avoid this crawling, what we do? Yeah, Ritika, what we do for to avoid crawling? Nobody is there. Huh? To avoid crawling, what we do? To avoid crawling, we use a phenomena that is like we cut the induction motor slots at an angle of 45 degree. So cutting the at an angle of 45 degree means chamfering, or it means also skipping. So what it does is that it does not allow the 7th harmonics to accumulate and disturb the induction motor and make it run at 1/7 of the synchronous speed. So induction motor never basically runs at a synchronous speed. So I showed you the example of egg also. So it there is a field is also only current we are giving to the stator winding, and from the stator winding this is picked up as a phenomena of mutual induction in the air gap, and in the air gap the power is getting produced, and there's a relative motion between what the stator and the rotor field. So if induction motor rotates due to the rotate, and this is created by relative motion, and this relative motion is known as slip. So ns minus nr, or percentage slip, would be ns minus nr divided by ns. So this, if slip is 1, so your ns minus nr, slip is 1 means nr is equal to 0. Slip is 0 means ns is equal to nr. Moving, and this phenomena of induction motor not moving is called as cogging. So this cogging phenomena you can see, and to avoid this cogging, what we do is that the slots in the rotor and the stator should not be equal to each other. They should not be equal to the integral multiple of each other. So while designing, we have to see. So in tomorrow's class, Jyoti has to go for crawling, Chaitra has to go for output equation of 3-phase induction motor, and Chandramouli, you have to explain me cogging phenomena. And this was about the power triangle which I have drawn, and from the power triangle I have shown you the certain factors in terms of these quantities, these variables, and we noticed in the next, see, for the good overall design, L by Z ratio should be 1. For best power factor, we have this L by Z ratio should be 0.18L. For minimum cost, L by Z ratio, we took 1.5 to 2. For good power factor, it was 1 to 1.25. So this is about designing the induction motor, and this is the specific and the ampere conductors. So how we are choosing the specific magnetic loading depends upon 3 factors, that is power factor, overload capacity, and hysteresis and loss in the machine. So loss in the machine. So here we also saw how our BAV value gets increased due to the area, and if we are decreasing the circumference of the dimension. So this is all about it. In tomorrow class, we will still proceed and understand the dimensions of the induction motor in a much better way and try to solve one problem. But please be prepared. I'll maybe conduct a small quiz also at the end of the class. So thank you very much. Those of you who can give the attendance and can join the next class. Ritika, you can give the attendance. Because it's already 12:19. Ritika? No response only. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you can, why you people are not interacting? No doubts, sir. Any doubts are there? Yeah, Yeah, Gayatri, you have any doubts? That content material I am already shared now. Ratika, please send it to Gayatri also. It is there in Google Classroom. One more time I put. Ratika,
So the drive link, sir.
drive link. Why they are not able to open? I have shared it with you, right?
I've shared it in the group, sir.
Please share in the group. Please share to everyone. Okay, those of you who have given the class can leave and join the next class. So I can see attendance. Kaushal Kumar is there. Mayank is there. Mayank, why you are not attending class? I'll stop recording first. Okay.